what I've got over here. Hey everybody. I had a comment on my video for the two-part epoxies and how I'm applying it for a clear coat for my lures and everything. Well, I'm going to try and put the comment somewhere up here, that way y'all can read it. But the guy was asking about what I did to address the issues with cratering and fisheyes, because this is stuff he's currently having issues with. With two-part epoxies, whether it be BSI, Alumilite, two-part, any kind of two-part system as far as epoxies and resins are concerned, and even UV. So this goes along the boards with, I'm just going to say any epoxy, any resin, whether it's single part or two-part, it doesn't matter. But I thought I had a lure here, but I don't. He's obviously having issues with this. And I'm going to try and give some ideas, some things to look for, the things that I did and eliminated, and what I keep an eye out for. The first thing to keep an eye out for is your fingers. Your skins have oils in it, and resins and epoxies do not like oils. So while you're painting your lure, try your best not to touch the paint, not with your fingers. Try your very best. I know there's people out there that's going to say, well, I touch my lure all the time. I don't have any issues and stuff like that. Good. I'm proud of you. But it is a possibility. And people do experience this issue with fingers touching stuff. Even like me using automotive clear coat. Don't touch it with your hands. You run a major risk of causing surface issues with your clear coat. And the other issue that you won't see is lack of adhesion, which means your clear coat, even though it didn't have any issues on the outside, it's not sticking to your paint underneath it. It's just hovering over it and going to the next spot where there is no oil. So that leads to possible clear coat failure, possible chipping, possible flaking. It's just not a good thing to do. It's not very wise to touch your paint. Ask anybody that paints cars. They don't touch it with their hands. That's why they're constantly using degreasers and dewaxers and stuff like that, wax removers. They're constantly cleaning their paint job, is to make sure that even if something did get on there, they've got it cleaned off. Oils are a bad thing. The other thing is that you need to look out for is in your paint room or anywhere where your lure goes. If you have one of the little room fresheners that sprays the air freshener into the air, look out for that. That's a ticking time bomb waiting on you right there. If that mist gets in the air and falls on your lure, it can cause your clear coat not to stick. It can cause it to crater. It can cause it to fisheye. The other thing is dust. My wife does epoxies on her tumblers. And she'll have she'll be doing her final coat. Everything's going good. A speck of dust falls in it. Something about dust. I don't know if it's the static electricity, if the dust carries the oil, but something about a dust speck. If it falls in there, it can sometimes separate and run the resin and clear coat will sometimes run away from that dust. Other times it'll feel it and it'll be a bump and she's just got to correct that. Now, you can, if you do experience fisheyes and cratering or any kind of surface issue, you can lightly sand whatever you have it on. Some lures are harder to sand than others, though. And get it sanded down. Don't go all the way through the clear coat, but get it sanded down really good. Clean it, let it dry, and put a thin coat back on top of it. Don't put a heavy coat. But you want to sand the whole surface. because in order to sand it, it's going to have to be cured out. And so your next coat will need that grit from the sanding to actually hold on to. The other thing is, and it's kind of controversial, you want to keep anything silicone away from your clear coat as much as possible. I know there's a lot of silicone tools out there. There's silicone molds and everything for using epoxy. It can actually do, if it's not the right type of silicone, or if it's old silicone, because silicone does have oil in it, or some kind of a solvent. And if it starts breaking down, starts getting old, it can contaminate your clear coat. And if it gets in it, you might have issues with it sticking. You might have issues with fish eyes, craters, getting foggy or hazy. A bunch of different issues can come up with that. I'm sorry if I'm stumbling over my words. I'm not used to talking just into the camera for y'all. The other thing to look out for is, obviously, I recommend wearing gloves, but I recommend nitrile gloves. And as soon as you get your nitrile gloves, I personally, I have a little bit of alcohol over here. When I put a pair on, because obviously you've touched them, I put alcohol on them, I clean them against each other and wipe them off on a clean rag. I usually use a microfiber rag if you really want to know exactly what I'm using. And that helps take any kind of surface contamination off my glove. But I'm really big against latex gloves or latex rubber bands if you're using it in the joints to keep your lure stiff on a jointed lure, to keep it from flopping around in your helping hands or whatever holder you're using. The reason being is I've personally experienced latex rubber bands causing my epoxy and resin to actually run away from it. I had a 7-jointed swim bait. I had it in each of the joints. And anywhere that rubber band had touched and anywhere where the rubber band was at, I put like 4 coats on it just to see if I could get it to work. That epoxy would not get anywhere near where that rubber band had touched or where it was. I don't know if it was the powder from the latex. I don't know if it was the oils and solvents in it. But something about latex, that epoxy, that resin, it did not want to stay there. It did not want to be anywhere near it. It absolutely did not get along with it. Now, if you do happen to touch your paint job, obviously you want to let your lure also hang for at least 24 hours. Whether it's water-based acrylic, whether it's solvent-based paints, whether it's alcohol inks, a minimum of 24 hours. You need to let it hang and air dry and cure out. Once that's done, you can go ahead, or even let it, once it gets to where it's dry to the touch, so to say, you can come back on top of it with a clear sealer. So you can use UVLS, you could use a transparent base. I'm sure Bleed Checker, I haven't tried it, but I'm sure Bleed Checker from Createx would also work. You could use a varnish like Liquitex. No, excuse me, I apologize about that. The Liquitex, though, you do need to put it on thin. Put a thin coat on, let it kind of dry, put another thin coat on, let it dry. It gets real runny. And with water-based acrylics, it can actually reactivate some of the paint and cause bad issues. Another thing that you can use is the Minwax polyacrylic, the water base. I do recommend spraying that through the airbrush. I don't recommend dipping it. You can reduce it with water, do a 50-50, and get it mixed up, put it in your airbrush, and do thin coats with that, letting it dry in between each coat. And what that does, it gives you a protective layer on top of your paint. And if there is anything that's on your paint, if you've accidentally touched your paint job, it will seal away them oils. It will separate all that's there that could cause possible contaminations. And sometimes them clear coats or them inner coats like that can actually help your clear coat to actually look a little better in the end. But you want to let that dry. So spray your lure, get your paint job done. If you feel you've touched it or something might be contaminating it, wait a couple minutes, and then spray one of them sealers on there, and then let it hang for 24 hours. At the end of that 24 hours, now you still, at no point do you want to handle your lure with bare hands. Oil's bad. No, don't do it. Then once it's dry, do your clear coat. Now, if you still experience issues with the clear coat, you might be getting dust from the air. Make sure your room is fairly clean, or wherever you're doing your clear coat, you're able to seal away your lures from the open environment. I know some rooms, well, we have a dog, it's really hard to keep things clean. And some areas just dustier than others. But dust can cause cratering and fisheyes and stuff like that as well. But the big one's oils. So, air fresheners, skin, rubbers, like latex rubbers, silicone rubber, all that can cause oil contamination on your paint. Hold on, I gotta shut my door. Watch out, buddy. Watch out. All right, we're back. My dog was going to start barking if I didn't. And I know this is probably a lot of repeating, but it's actually very, very few things will cause it. The other thing to look out for, especially using epoxies and resins, whether it's 2-part, UV, it doesn't matter. Epoxy and resins in general. Make sure you look up the shelf life. If you are getting near or beyond the shelf life of that epoxy and resin, you can start having some bad issues. You can start getting bubbles in your clear coat. It can start separating. It's just getting old. The chemicals aren't doing what they're supposed to, and it's just not going to work right. And you'll wind up fighting it, and you might get a couple lures that work good, and then you'll get a couple more that just ain't working out. So definitely keep an eye on the age of your epoxies and resins. The age matters a big deal on them. They don't last forever, even though they're 2 parts. They will get old. Usually it's the hardener that will start, at least I believe it was the hardener. It will start taking on an off color. At that point, that's when you need to start doing some tests on some spoons or something and see if you're going to be getting issues. But that's the main things I ran into, was oils, latex, silicone, dust, and trying to eliminate them. You have to kind of look in your room. I said, see if you have an air freshener. If that's spraying, that might be causing it. If you have a really dusty room, that might be causing it. If you're inadvertently, even if you walk into the room like, oh, that just looks cool, and you could accidentally bump it with your palm, and that could, the oils from your skin could cause it. Not letting your paint dry, especially if you're using solvent-based paints. Not letting it dry and cure out, that can definitely cause issues. And like I said, the only fixes I know is you can lightly sand it down and put a thin coat on top of it after you clean it up. While you're cleaning it, especially using water-based acrylics, be really careful when you get around that spot. Just kind of dab at it. Don't scrub it, because you'll wind up scrubbing your paint away. Because sometimes some craters, they're not sealed at all, and it's straight to the raw paint. But I'm hoping I answered this guy's question. The big things, whether it's UV or 2-part, I said, is oil, whether it be from you or an outer surface, latex and silicone rubber, dust, and and not letting your paint cure. Other than that, it might be the age of the silica or of the epoxy. And some epoxy companies, they're really bad about changing their formula and not letting you know, and that can cause issues sometimes too. If all that doesn't work, by all means, message again. Put it in the comments. Like I said, I'll try and have that comment up here if I can figure it out. But if that doesn't work, definitely message in the comment of this video and let me know, and I'll try and see what I can find out. But it's usually something real simple, and sometimes it just starts happening. If you have too much humidity, that can actually sometimes cause it as far as environment wise. So yeah, I guess I need to touch on that too. You need to get some way to read the humidity in your room. Wherever you're doing your epoxy, you need to look up what the humidity range is, the allowable range for your particular epoxy and resin you're using, and you need to get a little gauge that can let you know the humidity in your room, because that can cause issues as well. That's actually one of the big things as far as open world environment that can cause it. Is, like, say if you're doing it while it's raining, you'll definitely get some, most likely. Yeah, that sounded weird, but you'll definitely have more issues with it. I've seen it with my wife's tumblers, and as soon as that humidity peaks, you get a lot of moisture in the air, and it starts causing craters and fisheyes. I mean, that's exactly what it causes. So check your humidity. Make sure you're not doing it at night. If you're doing it at night and you live in an area where humidity peaks at night, then that's a bad thing unless you're able to keep the room controlled. Temperature. Make sure your temperature is right. Make sure your room is within the allowable temperature range or close. It ain't got to be like scientific, but you need to be within this temperature range as well. And it's not, like I said, all this, it probably sounds like a lot of information. I hope it doesn't. But it's actually very simple things. You just got to really look at what's in your environment, your room temperature, your humidity, and kind of start narrowing down the possible causes. And there's no real answer as to how to make it go away. It's letting you know what causes it so you can look at your area and see what might be doing it. But like I said earlier, if you keep having the issues, by all means, comment on this video. Let me know. Let me know what you have done to try and correct it up to that point. And I'll try and do some more research, and I'll definitely try and help you out. That's what I'm about. That's what I want to do. I want to help people solve their issues they're having. We all learn something from it, and see if we can help make everybody have a better experience and a lot more enjoyable time painting their lures. But I love y'all. If y'all like this video and find it helpful, please give me a thumbs up, like and subscribe. Hit the little bell notification so you can see when I do another video. And I said, I'm still learning this video stuff, but I'll try and put his comment up. That way y'all can read it. And it was actually a very good comment. And it's something that needs to be addressed and talked about. But that's kind of why I always ask y'all, if y'all have any input, you want a video on something, please put it in the comments. Let me know. If I'm able to, I'll definitely do a video on it. And feel free to put your advice, put your input into the comments. We're all here to help each other. It's not about me. It's about everybody. So, yeah. Love y'all. I hope you found this helpful, bub. And I will talk to y'all later.